Education Communities of the Tuesday the 9th of May. Can I apologise for the late starting of the committee? Can I just, again, this meeting is held remotely and also in person and will be filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council's website. The Council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and Data Protection Act 2019. We broadcast and record council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during this process will be retained in accordance with the council's published policies available through the council's website. Members of the council are reminded that they should follow the council's established meeting protocols, including the use of the chat facility, and that any comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have received invites to the meeting. So with that, can I thank you all for attending today? Dan, can I go to you for apologies, declarations of interest and roll call?
We have apologies from Councillor Maguire, from Councillor McCluskey substituting for the community business, and Councillor McCabe substituting later for the education business. And for the education business, we'll have apologies from Reverend Burke and Reverend Donaldson. We'll now move to an attendance roll call before proceeding to the declarations of interest. The following members please indicate they are present at the meeting either in person or remotely. Councillor Armstrong.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Brennan.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Clougherty.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Paisley.
Present remotely.
Councillor Law.
I think she is online. She's indicated to us that she is
Present
online.
remotely, sorry.
Councillor McCluskey.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor McVeigh.
Present chamber.
Councillor Moran.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Quinn.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Robertson.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Wilson.
Present remotely.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Lynn?
Yeah, agenda item 4, Applied Leisure Board.
Any other member? And myself and the Leisure Board. Mark, Beacon Board for me. Beacon Board for Mark.
For me as well.
And for us. Okay, can I bring members' attention to agenda item number 17, and that will be on the community side of the agenda. So what we'll actually do is have that after agenda item number 4, if that's okay with your secretary.
Yep.
And with that, can we move on to agenda item number 2, which is the Financial Officer's Report for the Revenue Budget 2022-2023, outcome at 28th February 2023. Ian?
Thanks, Convener. So this is a Communities Revenue Budget Report for period 11, and that's up to the end of February 23. The current budget for the communities part of the committee is 4.515 million. And the latest projection is an underspend of 27,000 or 0.6% of the total budget. That means projected expenditure has decreased by 42,000 since the period 9 committee report, and that's mainly due to additional school lets income and the additional turnover savings. Section 3.3 of the report provides details of the main variances responsible for the projected underspend. So this cycle I'm requesting environment in section 3.5 of 25,000 to move income from the school lets income to help fix the shortfall in the libraries and museum income. And that's reflected in the body of the report. So committee are asked to note projected underspend of 27,000 for the 22-23 communities revenue budget and approve the environment as detailed in paragraph 3.5 and appendix 5, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions from members?
Thanks, Convener. It's not a question, it's a comment, and I'm in the social work and social care scrutiny panel as well. I mean, I think there's a recurring issue about the timing of reports that come to committee. I'm struggling to really see the value in a report that's about the budget position as at the end of February, when we're here in May, and I don't know what can be done about it in terms of the timing of reporting in committees, but it seems to me to be, not terribly useful. And I'm not blaming it. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not seeking to blame anyone, but I'm questioning how useful it is in May to get a report about a budget position in February. Thank you.
Ian, would you like to comment?
Well, yeah, thanks, convener. Through you. Well, firstly, it's the outturn position, so it is a projected position at the 31st of March. It's not the position at February. It's just it was done in February, but we've obviously got to go through the pre-agenda cycle. We've got to prepare the report, so that's how there's a bit of a lag. But the position that we're projecting is what we expect it to be in the 31st of March at the year end. It's not the position in February.
Thank you.
Okay. Tommy?
Yeah, thanks, convener. Just on Councillor Armstrong's point there, I find it quite useful, if I'm honest. I like to see the detail what's happening throughout. I appreciate that a wee bit further behind, but I think it's all useful for trying to get a view on through the financial report and overspend, underspend, etc. Thanks.
To be fair to Councillor Armstrong, I think our point wasn't how useful the information is. I think it was just on the time lag, and I probably Ian's explained a part of it for you anyway, pal.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I can't see anybody online. Can we agree the recommendations at 2.1 and can we agree the by-route at 2.2? Agreed. Can we go along to agenda number 3, which is the Communities Capital Programme, and I'll ask Hugh to start us off on that. Hugh?
Thanks so much, convener. Afternoon, everybody. This is just an update. Previously, what Ian just says, based on February figures, as I think to the end of the year. This is the capital overall project. We're expecting that the budget for the capital project was from 23 to 26, 3.6 million, 3.9 million. We have a number projecting an underspend of 1.1 million, 23-24, and a net slippage of 1.25 million. Within the report, we're asking you to note the provision of branching out community project and approval of the funding from reserves that has been allocated by Policy and Resources Committee, highlighted in point 11 of 3.1 in the report. If you look at the overall report, community projects, just to give you a couple of updates on certain things, you'll see that Lady Al's Bowling Club is we are just progressing the last of the accounts. Some snagging still going on in that facility, and that hopes to be finished by the end of this May 2023. Pleasure Pitches is again, Eddie's on the call too, so if there's any comments for that, we're progressing along with the overall 2020 Education Communities Committee agreement for upgrading a number of football patches across the pitches across all our state. The waterfront 3.7, you were after last time, the contractor has now provided a programme which indicates that the manufacture of the pool floor commencing in May, and we're hoping that the mid-September to October 23 that will be installed on site. 3.8, community hub King George, Glasgow. As you know, we've got some slippage on that at the present moment due to ongoing site issues, but we're hoping that stuff is now moving forward, and we're projecting that would be completed either late 23 or early 24, and we're working with our contractors on that at the present moment. Under the community external partners, Cregan Resources is finished, and we've just agreed last week on final bills for that, so that's now approved, and that will be off your agenda for the next time for committee. Under Clyde Shed, I'm delighted that is now complete, and thank the Provost for his officially opening that on the 31st of March, and the space that we've got for the on-site. 3.1, as you're aware, we were awarded £1.1 million through the Regeneration Capital Fund earlier in the year. Due to tenders coming back, we had to do our emergency report back to Scottish Government and also through our own councils committees, and we did receive an extra £402,000 jointly between Inverclyde Council and also the Scottish Government to make sure that the project is on target now, and we're hoping that this project will start sometime late June 2023. Happy to take any question on the report. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Hugh. I suppose one of the first questions that people are going to ask is one of the long-standing ones on the movable floor, and it's really good to see it's come to fruition, and we've got a sort of installation date at September to mid-October. The question is going to be, has that got any implications for what we're going to use for swimming? For instance, we've had it before regarding the Gourock pool, we've had it with regard to the Port Glasgow pool. Are we looking to see how swimming can still be provided during the installation of the Gourock pool? I guess that's a question for me, and that's probably a question I asked at pre-agenda as well.
For yourself, Convener, I'm not sure if Eddie's on, but we are in discussion with Inverclyde Leisure. If we close the main pool where the work's getting done, we'll still be able to open the social part of the pool. And we are in discussion about with Inverclyde Leisure, do we continue to open Gourock pool, but we've not got that decision made yet. There's a meeting early next week to look at that more in depth once we get a full concrete date from the contractors. If it's delayed any more in September, then I doubt that we'd open Gourock pool, but we are having that conversation at the moment with Inverclyde Leisure and Property Services.
Thank you, Hugh. I was abusing my position at chair a wee bit. I'm going to bring Councillor Wilson in first before I come back to the room. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Convener, it's about asset transfer around Larkfield Community Halls. I'm a member of the Larkfield Community Halls. Who are you dealing with there, and what stage are you at, Hugh?
Is there 5 people in that room?
David, we're finding it hard to hear you. Can you maybe move either closer to your microphone or speak more clearly and slowly?
I will try to do that, Convener. Hugh, asset transfer. The Larkfield Halls.
I think I picked up your question. If you want me to answer it, if that's okay.
Could you answer it slowly, please?
We're engaging with Youth Connections around the Upper Larkfield Hall. And at the present moment, they're working on a business plan, but I had a conversation with them last week, and it doesn't look at the moment that it's financially secure for them to take this forward, but we're still having more conversations with them. I think it's about the running costs, and obviously at the moment they're running their own building, and they're obviously doing some work in Gibbshill too. So he was trying to put a business plan together for taking that over, but I'm not thinking it's going to be successful, but we're still having ongoing conversations with them.
Would you welcome an intervention from Larkfield Housing Association?
I think Youth Connections might want that. If you had the Larkfield Housing Association could talk to Youth Connections, I think that might be relevant.
Thank you, Hugh.
Okay. Can I bring Lynn in next? Lynn?
Yeah, great. So I think the kind of questions on the pool, we're scared to talk about the pool because every time we talk about it, the date moves. So, yes, I think so you've kind of covered the question on Gourock pool and whether that would be extended the opening hours, because I think it was the swimming lessons that were a particular concern for Inverclyde Leisure. Just a comment on 3.10. Obviously, a number of us were thankful to go along to the official opening of the new shed. So it's just to congratulate officers and obviously all the members of the board of Inverclyde Shed have done a fantastic job. I think it's a great example of when asset transfer really works and the benefit, but really that partnership working as well, coming together. So it's just to thank everybody involved. It's going to be a great asset to the community. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Lynn. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Convener. A couple of points. One, it's kind of about the pool, but it's a different kind of thing, because I found my winning strategy. My winning strategy is obviously asking at the meeting, what should I expect to find in the next report? And then it's actually in the next report, so that means things are reasonably on track. the one bit that I kind of want a wee bit of assurance of, just to make sure that we absolutely are on track, is the final part of the bit that's written about the pool, where it said that structural tests and inspections were to be done by the end of April. We're obviously past that now, so I just want to double check that they in fact did take place, because I guess if they didn't, then that does move things.
Is that one for Eddie?
Is Eddie on?
I haven't seen Eddie on today, councillor, for yourself. It's my understanding that we've got a briefing tomorrow on where we are with that, and I'll let everybody know tomorrow.
It would be good just to let members of the committee know, on the back of Lizzie's question, that has been done, or that might turn out to be.
Yeah, we've got a client meeting, so we'll certainly, about property, and it's on the agenda. It was to be on Friday, it was cancelled, but certainly raise it again.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Thanks. And the second point I've got is to do with section 312. I'm looking at asset transfers that are ongoing, and the question that I have is about Caddo Hill Community Garden. Just what we've written there is that the Environment Regeneration Committee agreed to a lease almost a year ago, and it's currently been drawn up. And I'm just wondering why it's taking almost a year to draw a lease.
You?
For yourself, convener, I chased that up when I read that myself, councillor, and that's now been agreed a couple of weeks ago, is before the papers were submitted, or just after the papers were submitted. So that's my understanding, it's now all been approved, and it was with legal and property services to get that drawn up once after committee approved that, and that was the hold up.
Okay, thanks. Can I come back in? Is that
Yep.
okay? So, being uncharacteristically nippy here, because I think we all agree I'm not generally, but it still then took about 9.5, 10 months, to get a lease. So if it was done 4 weeks ago, that's better than it's still waiting to be done, but it still took a fair chunk of a year to get a lease sorted.
But the question is, why so long?
For yourself, convener, I don't think it took as long as that. I think that was the process that took as long as that. I think once we got a committee decision later on in the year, when the E&R approved it, then legal had to do the final paperwork, and that's my understanding. But my colleagues from legal might be on today, might be better understand that.
We can get back to it.
We can get
Yeah, I'm not really to add anything to that, but I can certainly make inquiries and revert back to the committee and to Councillor Robertson.
So I think the key is, until we actually get committee approval to do it, then they can't actually move forward. So it's a committee process. It might be taking time on that rather than the legal process.
Can I come back in a
Yeah.
bit that says we got a committee approval in June last year? So it still took 9 to 10 months after that. I need to query that if we're asking our community groups, etc., to look at being partners with us in asset transfer, then we can have this as part of the deal.
I'll bring you in.
Yeah, Councillor Robertson, we'll get to the bottom of why it took so long, but often it's a case of it's not just us delaying, it's because we're negotiating with the terms of the lease, often with the community group. I'll find out what's happened in this instance, but usually the communication stays open through this process as we try and work with the community groups to get the lease.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, sorry, Robert. Yep.
First one up. You were on words. It's obviously it is a bit of a broken question, but it's the Gibbs Hill pitch behind the community centre, which you and I have spoke about, and we did spend some money this year to gain access to it for the big open day we had up there. Are we having discussions with one regarding the asset transfer, or just with the community council, or are you talking to any third parties who have been in a position to take over this asset, because it is lying there dormant and it is a real good asset? It should be being used. So where would we be with that? And also on the whole asset transfer question, is there any update with what's happened? This report, I've got this paragraph is very ambiguous, really. It's not really telling us a lot about what we need to know about the asset transfers, where they're happening, where they're taking place, what stage we're at in any transfer. So my first point would be obviously the Gibbs Hill part, and my second question would be, where are we regarding asset transfers throughout the district.
Hugh, I'm going to bring Tony in first of all. Tony.
So you can be thanks for the question. Yeah, in terms of the asset transfer process, and I'll go in reverse order if you don't mind, if you might be able to come in on the specifics around Gibbs Hill, is the process itself. We often engage with a number of organisations before they actually are in a position to formally apply. So we'll have a number of organisations that have made contact with us, and they're not in this report, but we're going back and forward at the moment, first of all, to identify properties or land, which is available on our website, and it's for the community group then to approach us to see whether or not they might be interested. So there's no kind of lack of progress around any existing asset transfers, but it's up to the community groups to progress those with us. But we often provide the advice, and we provide ongoing advice around business plans to a number of organisations around asset transfer, but none of them are at a position where we're considering at this moment until such time as that voluntary group or that group ask us to progress even more. But there are a number of ongoing discussions we have with a number of groups around land or property, and whether that's a lease or a transfer, because a lot of the asset transfers that people are wanting are usually leases rather than complete ownership being shifted over to them. They're actually just looking to get into a longer term lease agreement with the council.
And Gibbs Hill. Hugh, do you want to take the Gibbs Hill question?
Yeah, for yourself, convener. Councillor Moran, we've had some discussions with Gibbs Hill Community Centre about obviously the pitch behind the centre. You know, that's an old gravel pitch that's been vacant for well over 12 years now. I know we've done some work to get it cleaned for our summer programme last year. That if we are interested in taking that on, or anybody's interested in taking that over to make it into a secure football pitch or a ground, there's a substantial amount of money required to do that. So it wasn't brought up at the committee's meeting, and we're open for discussions, as Tony has said, to meet with any group. But we've also got to prove that there is a financial security back there, that there's funding in place to meet this demand on it. But you know, and also what's the ground like, because it's been vacant for so long, and what's underneath it. So there'll be a substantial amount of funding required to do that. But if anybody's interested in taking over, we're happy to have that conversation with them.
Robert.
That's fine, Jim. I heard there was a third party interested, but I'm not going to say in public, you know, talk to.
You can talk. You can talk offline.
Aye.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? Again, I think it would be remiss of me not to mention, and I'm surprised Tommy didn't, that we're nearly getting the Lady Alice Bowling Club over the line. Again, that's one of the older projects we've had in the go, so it looks as if hopefully once the snagging's finished, that we've got that over the line as well. So again, that's many years in the making, so well done to everybody involved in that, and welcome to the committee of Lady Alice Bowling Club as well for great work. So thanks to that. And with that, can we agree the recommendations?
Agreed.
Thank you, everybody. Can we move on to agenda item number 4, which is in the additional paper, which is the community's update report. And I'll ask Tony to start us off on that. Tony.
Thank you, convener. So this report's quite a brief report this time, just provides some updates on aspects of the community's part of the committee. Provide an update on quite a comprehensive review of school catering that we've undertaken, and it's still ongoing, and we're now implementing the action plan from that. Also provided an update on Incline Libraries and their continued success in getting accreditation and awards. And also just an update for members around what's really happening in cultural services at the moment. We also have our new cultural services manager now in post, Sarah Christie, and I'm sure we'll introduce him to committee in time. Also, just a quick update in terms of Miliora. Obviously, there's no specific funding for the Miliora Festival this year, but a lot of our partners are undertaking activities, and we're trying to really market that festival each year as part of our spring and summer programme. I've also provided a quick update on the Warm Handed Friendship grants, and we will bring back a further committee report, either through this committee or through Policy and Resources, because it was also awarded through the anti-poverty funding around the impact of the Warm Handed Friendship grants. So I'll bring that back to members. And lastly, the Inverclyde Leisure Strategic Plan. Members are aware we had an elected member briefing separately on that, and there is a link provided to quite a lengthy report provided in the papers as well. So I'm happy to take any questions on any aspects of this.
Thanks, Tony. Any questions? Can't see anything online. Robert?
I mean, maybe I shouldn't be asking this question at this point, but it's about the Warm Handed Friendship. You know, I have to say it's been one of the big successes that we've all seen since the grants have been given out. And I know Martin and Elizabeth and Francesca, we've been and visited these places, you know, and it really has made a big, big difference. Not just for the place to go, but for the health and well-being of people that attend it. And if you go and visit one, it's just amazing to see that time they get to leave the house, to sit amongst other people, have a bit of company, and in some cases give some music, where they can really enjoy it. So my point would be is, the one that we run at our church, our funding will be running out quite soon, and we will do our best to keep it going, and we will keep it going. It's just that going forward, you know, will there be any opportunities for applying for some more grants to continue this fantastic initiative that we've started?
Ruth? Yes, that's the list.
That's lovely to hear, and it's very difficult to put in statistics the warmth that the people have felt as well. And CVS have been our partners in this, and the link to the volunteering strategy and getting communities to volunteer and help each other out has been absolutely fantastic. We have put extra money in, so HSCP have put an extra £50,000 in, so people can apply for a second round. What we've asked is that they must have evaluated the first round before they can apply for the second. It can be you struggle to get evaluations in. That will always be the nature of this type of grant. But we are looking at what we can do with some of the anti-poverty underspend. It's particularly linked to the winter, the warm hand of friendship, and linked to the warm spaces and activities. But I can assure you it's on our radar. It's been something that's been successful.
You know,
can I supplement a question? It's about the Inverclyde Leisure. We had the PowerPoint presentation, and it was brought up at the indoor bowling, and it was brought to our attention that some of the bowlers were unaware of the Kid Connect with Inverclyde Leisure. I've spoken to a few of the bowling club myself since, and they're indicating to me that they will be contacting Inverclyde Leisure to see if there could be any assistance in helping to nurture and even improve the time it's used up at the indoor bowling centre, because they were unaware. I think they could actually approach Inverclyde Leisure and talk to them, and they've got some ideas. So I spoke to a few of them anyway, and they indicated to me they will be contacting Inverclyde Leisure, see if there could be any assistance in enhancing that.
Good, thanks, Robert. Can I bring Lynn in and then David?
Yeah, thanks, Tina. I've just got a question about 3.1, the review of school catering. I'm just, I've noticed that it's under this communities part, and also catering is also mentioned in the education part. So I'm like, oh right, where do I raise it? But so probably the first point to mention, the fact that it is included in the education improvement plan would suggest that it's not just. I think with the opening of this report, it looks as if it's just about cost, because it's about a overspend in the income recovery. So I really just wanted to unpick that and explain that there is a wider benefit, and it's not just about income to the council, that there is wider benefits of increasing school meals and kids go to school meals. I think that's probably my first point. And also, it was great that we've had that sort of consultation with young people in our schools, but I'm just trying to unpick the consultation with parents. I'm just, because of we've got parent pay, and that's the means in which the parents engage with the sort of school meals process, sometimes isn't 100% positive. And obviously the cost implications. So it's just whether we've had any sort of consultation with parents, and parents are aware of what's going on and the discussions you're having with kids in terms of encouragement. So I would reckon the parents should play a part in that encouragement as well. Thanks.
I suppose first on your first point, as a continued dilemma of whether we put school catering in communities or education, because it's essentially mine to deal with. So you will find it in both. Apologies for the inconsistency. We'd rather cover it in both than none at all. In terms of, we will be speaking to parents, particularly this year, because part of the last part of the review was implementing a new system for choice for secondary pupils, and that's going to take place through the course of this year. And we had spoken to young people before about parent pay and going cashless, and we got a kind of mixed message from young people before, because I think they liked the choice. If they went to parent pay, then they had to have their meal in the school. If it didn't go into parent pay, then they could go out. So we've got that dilemma of promoting choice and free will for our young people, but also trying to get into the nutritional meal. So we will speak to parents once the system is in, because part of it will be encouraging pre-booking of menu items, things like that, and to try and get people so that when they exercise the choice for a meal, they're guaranteed that meal when they get there, because that's a fundamental issue that we have in secondary, because they want a meal, and by the time they get to the front of the queue, it's gone. And what we're trying to do is reduce the waste and actually promote the choice. But yeah, we can speak to the parent body, and we meet with the parent council. It might be something we can do in the next meeting, actually.
Ruth, you want to come in?
Yes, just to build on Tony's answer, we did do some consultation with parents a couple of years ago when we were looking at the primary and the secondary cashless catering. And actually, as Tony said, the pupils were mixed, but so were the parents as well. And it's just about that choice. So we will go back and look at it, but probably the actual ICT will force us towards a solution anyway. I think parents were sometimes more keen on parent pay than necessarily the young people were, because that would say that they would at least that would be the meal, where the young people were saying, well, give me the money and I can make the choice. We would love more of our young people to take, especially in secondaries, to take the school meal. We're seeing that the uptake of even free school meals can be limited in secondaries. So the work Tony's doing with the team to encourage uptake, so they can at least get the choice they want, hopefully will increase that and actually make a difference to the cost of living for families as well.
Lynn, you want to come back in?
Yeah, so I know it mentions the link to poverty, so is that more, because I would reckon that's a general concern about, older as they get, it's not cool to go to school meals, so they want to go and do something else. So I assume that's more driven by poverty, but there's poverty implications, because then, if it's uncool to go to the canteen, then it's uncool for those that are receiving free school meals then, is that correct?
Ruth?
Absolutely, and what the young people have told us is that they'll go with their friends. So if you're a free school meal, you're not going to stay in school necessarily if you've got friends around. So we need to make the choice appetising for everybody as well. But I think when we are with the young people who, and when money is an issue, I think the fact that sometimes they were queuing up and weren't getting the first choice, and it was seen, the whole way we deliver meals was seen by the young people as perhaps a little bit antiquated. Then they loved the grab and go during COVID. They liked the quickness of it, they liked the convenience of it. And as much as we'd like them all to sit down and have a hot meal in the middle of the day, that's perhaps not how they're thinking. So yes, it's we've always had in our minds the absence of stigma when we take this form. Great, thanks.
Okay, Lynn. David and then Martin. You okay? David?
Yeah, just a comment and then a question. Comment on the catering. The biggest complaint I get, and you're quite right, Ruth, is about appetite advertising it is. All the time I hear complaints about the quality. I really do. And my question is with regard to why are we doing to do something?
Did you pick that up? David, I don't think we quite picked up Meliora one. Can you say that again, please?
The Meliora. The Meliora, I really don't understand why we're having Meliora when there's no finance available to the various community groups that would still like to do something this summer.
Okay, so if I take the Meliora first, and then I'll let Tony comment about the quality of the paper. I think we perhaps hear different feedback. But so there's no funding for Meliora. Meliora was with the COVID recovery funding. However, if you look at across Inverclyde and the wealth of events that take place, Meliora was always envisaged as a feel-good recovery in the pursuit of betterment type festival, and what really worked for it was the branding. So there are elements of things that the Beacon are putting on, that IL are putting on, that we're replacing, and even that we can give a brand to sell Inverclyde as a place where there are things happening, and that we're always going to look at the at events for people. It was whilst we gave out community grants last time, it wasn't just specifically about the work of the communities. It was about the communities getting together to put on events and working across culture and sport and also education.
Tony, would you like to comment about the quality of our school dinners?
Yeah, I suppose just to say that if there are issues around quality, we will deal with them right away. I don't get many calls specifically around the quality of the meals that we provide. It's mostly around the dining experience rather than actually the quality of the food. And often, because we are adhering to the nutritional guidelines now, and that's restricted perhaps some of the things that young people like to eat, and now because we're having to give them a nutritional meal. But I suppose I can give that assurance if there are issues around quality, the team certainly go into the kitchen, check and make the changes that are necessary. I think we had a few issues around COVID, just presentation, because it was in just not many things look nice and disposable cartons. So I'm hoping, I've not had any issues reported to me in the last 6 months to a year, so I'm hoping things are actually going well. But I'll certainly act on them, and I would ask you to advise your constituents to get in touch if there are specific issues on specific kitchens. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Can I ask?
Convener, could I have a supplementary, please?
Yes, you can.
Do you think at a future meeting, Tony, you could give us some figures on the percentage of secondary school children taking school dinners? Thank you.
Yeah, I can certainly do that, and it's also one of our actions within our own CDIP, so it's certainly something we'll be looking at and we'll be able to report to committee.
Okay, David?
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, it's calling user number 1. You're not in mute. You want to speak? Is it Kirsty? No.
Jane is one.
Kirsty's. Right, okay. No other questions. Can we agree the report?
Great.
We move on to item number 17, which is the slightly late paper, and apologies for that. And that's a partnership agreement with Sports Scotland. Who's going to start us off on that, Hugh?
Thanks very much, Convener. The purpose of the report is to seek approval to support the new 4-year partnership agreement with Sports Scotland to fund the Active Schools and Community Hub post and confirm the Council's financial commitment to this. As you can see within 3.1 of the report, we've been working with Inverclyde's been working in partnership with Sports Scotland for a number of years, from 2005, along with our other colleagues and other local authorities, providing active service team services over a 4-year period. The aim of the partnership is to work together, and there's a plan within the report, attached within the report, to work very closely to make sure that we're working within primary schools and secondary schools to promote physical activities and sport. 5.1 of the report gives you an update on the financial pressures that we're facing. As you know, the financial increased costs at the moment are having an burden on a lot of national organisations and also the council. At the moment, the council funds 40% of the core budget, and the remaining funded by Sport Scotland. However, it's now been committed that the remainder of the 4-year rounds we may need to contain extra money within our own core budgets to support this going forward. Sport Scotland have made us an offer across all 32 local authorities of an increase of 3.5 just for one financial year, and our College of Finance are working closely with Sport Scotland to look at that going forward. As you can see within the report, there's a full 3.7 gives you an overall breakdown of the plan and how we tie this into active living, the strategy, but all the key things that we've been asked to work with across the partnership with Sport Scotland. This year, Sport Scotland have committed £348,000 to work with our teams this financial year, and we'll be continuing to review that as we go forward, but there will be an increased cost due to the increased racing costs, and that will make within a core budget. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you. I'll bring Elizabeth in first. Elizabeth.
Thanks, Camilla. It's really useful to see the new plan. It's a long-standing relationship that we've got with Sport Scotland. The Active Schools team is well established and has been doing a lot of work for a number of years. This is probably a function of me looking at this one plan in isolation, though. It would be useful to know if there's anything new, if there's anything that's changed in terms of what the expectations are in this plan and through the relationship that we have with Sport Scotland, or is it just a 4-year continuation of what we've always done, which I'm kind of hoping it's not. I'm hoping there is some new expectation.
I'll bring Tony in first, Hugh, and then you could add to it if you wish. Tony.
Thanks, Convener. Yeah, the Sport Scotland are interested in working with us more on some targeted initiatives as well, because like us, we're trying to be more inclusive. We're trying to target the resources for particular parts of the community that perhaps are disengaged from sport and physical activity. So we were in the process before the last budget round looking at, and they're still going to be looking at more focused work, particularly around young women and young mothers, and we'll continue to pursue that work with Sport Scotland. So there are elements of the strategy, so it's more than the active schools part. Of course, it's the commitment that we are going to work with Sport Scotland on another over the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, is that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Can I bring David in? David?
Yeah, thanks very much, Convener. Just a general comment. I've found increasingly with committee reports in the past year, we're getting a lot of extra committee reports coming in late. I got this really more or less today because I think it came in on Friday when I was away. But anyway, I've had a reasonable look through it. But I think as a general comment on committee reports, some seem.
David, can I just say things better?
Sorry, is it breaking up?
No, you're fine, David. We got the gist of your question. I think it's a fair enough question. Ruth?
So, yes, and that would be understood.
My question is about community hubs. What are the 3 community sports hubs we have at the moment, Hugh?
Can I bring Ruth on the late report first and then the 3 sports hubs?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, and apologies for being later. We try not to bring late reports to committee, but we do need to bring them if we need committee approval to go into a 4-year partnership. And also it can be to do with the timing of when Sport Scotland come with the agreement, and then we have to go and what. To be clear, if you look at the finance boxes, we're committing the committee in year 4 for 28,710. We have to do our own finances in balance with that and say what does it actually look like So so the timing of some of these agreements will constrain when we can bring it to committee and to be able to get the report through in its finalised version. We bring it to this committee late rather than take it through emergency powers, so, because it's better the whole community sees it. Your next question was on the community sports hub, and I'll hand over to Hugh for that one.
Hugh?
Thanks, Catriona, thanks, Ruth. The three areas that we've got community hubs are Gourock, South and South West and Port Glasgow. The aim of this partnership, as Councillor Robson asked, is to develop that further. So we're actually hoping that we'll have a community sports hub in every authority. And the money that we've been given this year for the community hub is fully funded. And that's the first time we've really had a fully funded community hub officer for 4 years. So it's something we're looking at, but there's a very strong community hub in Port Glasgow.
Could I have a supplementary, please, convener?
Yes, David.
Tell me,
Yes.
who's going to run Partly? Who's running it?
Partly, it's not Partly, it's just the community hub. It's run by one of my officers, Callan Harrison, who's the hub officer, who'll be running all the three and working closely with the people within Port Glasgow. I think the bowling are very strongly involved in it, so the football teams. Not all of them, but some of them.
Okay.
David? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Do you have any other questions? I suppose the only question I've got is one of finance. So we're sort of committing the council 4 years in the future. So I guess my question is, I take it it's obviously been through the CMT, but what you're actually saying is if in a year's time, 2 years' time, when we're doing budgets, if you've got this as a cut, then it's going to come back and you're going to say we will lose X amount from Sports Scotland. That makes sense, Ruth? You can comment on that.
Yes, just to draw your attention to 2.1 paragraph 2, the 4-year commitment does increase the financial contribution from the council, so the committee is basically agreeing to the partnership, but knowing that each year will be an increased percentage of our proportion. Now, if we look to it, what we're saying is it will eventually, and it's worst case scenario because Sports Scotland could up their input. The worst case scenario is about 28,710. At the bottom line, we can always cut within active schools. There is a danger to doing that because if we cut the funding, then Sports Scotland would cut the funding. So to gain £1, we'll lose 2.
Yeah,
so there's always a difficulty there. But what we are saying is somewhere there will be money, hopefully from an underspend elsewhere within the committee that we can allocate that. But it's just to make sure that the committee are aware that we have a fallback position, and the fallback position is working within active schools itself.
Okay, members?
Yes.
Can we agree the report?
Great.
Thank you. And that brings to the end of the communities part of the agenda. So we've got just over an hour of break. We'll see you back at 4 o'clock. So thanks everybody for attendance.
And Diane?